Hello everyone, this is ACHAIA Kaya, and we are back in the semifinals still, and right now we are looking at the first game of the matchup between Jetto and Reibisch, I think is how you say this guy's name, playing as Zerg and Terran respectively, or I'm sorry, Terran and Zerg respectively rather, and they are playing against Bubba and Azreal. And actually Bubba, something kind of interesting, we did look at his profile, and he was in the same 1v1 league as oh, I'm sorry. Who is that other guy? Darren C. Yeah, with all of those high-level 1v1 players and a lot of notable names like Huck and In Control, like we mentioned in the matchup that we saw with Darren C. and his ally. But anyways, Bubba is a very good Zerg player. Azreal is a pretty solid Terran player as well. So these guys are definitely a team to be reckoned with. And as far as I know, actually, as of right now in the semifinals, they have not lost a single game. So absolutely just steamrolling everybody in their path. They have a very good shot of winning this entire tournament here, but I did want to say thank you once again, as you can see by the message there. If you're watching this in high def, I don't think you can read that in the lower resolutions, but thank you to Shock Strategy Guide for sponsoring this tournament. He gave us the prize pool basically so that we could have a great tournament. The prize pool, of course, pulling out a lot of high level players such as Bubba and Darren C. So glad to see these guys getting involved in the tournament, and we are going to see a great game here, I'm sure. But anyways, moving into the game a little bit, I do have 13 casting here with me. 13, you have seen a few games from Bubba and Azreal here, and obviously they've just been dominating the competition. What is your take on their chances to win the tournament, and how do you think they're going to fare in this matchup?
Well, yeah, definitely when this tournament started, when we first seeded all the teams, got all the invitations out and everything, we knew that Azreal and Bubba were going to be a tough team to beat. Maybe even thought they would be the team to beat. So far, they have not let us down. They are dominating, and you know, they really haven't used just one solid strategy at all. I've noticed that Bubba likes to open with speedlings like most Zergs do, and he sometimes you know, gets some mutas out, but you know, they have just a lot of different strategies. They're tough to prepare for.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially in this 2v2, since there is a Zerg on each team, we are probably going to see some Baneling tech mixed in, because obviously Speedlings are the standard open, but what counters Speedlings better than Banelings? Absolutely nothing, other than maybe Mutalisks, since Speedlings can attack Mutalisks. But anyways, yeah, we will probably be seeing some Banelings get in the mix here as well, and it looks like Jetto is going to try to do a full wall off across the front here. As you can see, he has 2 barracks and 2 supply depots up already, and I imagine he's going to put another supply depot or something in this gap here so that he can have a complete wall up to help protect against those Speedlings. And likewise, it looks like Azreal's also building a lot of his initial buildings at this choke here so that they can protect against any early Speedling harassment. But looking at the tech for the Terran player Azreal, he does have his second refinery going up, which is actually pretty early for a second refinery, considering that he has not got any tech lab atoms. And actually, I'm sorry, he is getting a factory there. I did not notice. I initially thought that was a barracks. So he has 1 barracks, 1 factory, possibly going some sort of variation on a 1-1-1 build. And Bubba getting that early expansion like we saw Fab Integral do so many times in the last set of games, just getting that early expansion in 2v2, which as we had mentioned initially, I thought that was kind of a risky strategy, because 2v2 seems to be a lot higher pressure, like early pressure, constant pressure all throughout the game. But it seems like this, I don't know if it's just the temperature of this tournament or whatever, but it seems like the games have been a little bit more macro oriented, and we're not seeing as many cheesy early rushes as typically you see in some of the 2v2 games.
Yeah, and I like the location of that fast expansion from there. It's not a very easily, well, it's an easily scoutable area, but it's not normally scouted early on in the game. And I don't think that Jetto or Reibisch know that they fast expanded at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting early expansions on this map is something that typically a whole lot of 2v2 players do not do, simply because it's not as easily defendable as a lot of the expansions on other 2v2 maps, simply because it's not right in front of your base. You basically have to walk out this huge ramp, and then it's way off to the side here. There's 2 entrances to get into it, so it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world to defend and hold that expansion if they find it early on. But it looks like Bubba trying to put some pressure on the destructible debris in the back of their opponent's base, but Jetto does have 1 Marine there, gonna manage to pick some of those Zerglings off and force Bubba to back off there, so he is not going to try to take out that that destructible debris in the back to get that extra entrance. Meanwhile, his hatchery is up and running, but apparently he does not have his rally point set yet there, so an idle drone just waiting to be given orders. And here comes the Roach one. So rather than going for that Baneling tech, as I mentioned earlier, that we might see, oh, and I'm sorry, there's actually a Baneling's nest too. So getting both Baneling tech and Roach Warren tech. So getting a lot of different units here. This is going to be a pretty diverse unit mix. I'm excited to see how well this handles. But basically, he is going up against a very similar build. It looks like he has roaches and spawning pool up, but instead of going for the Baneling tech, instead getting the Spire up, so he will have Mutalisks on the map. Although going Mutalisk off of one base for Zerg is pretty difficult to do, so I don't know if he'll be able to get out enough Mutalisks to effectively assist his Terran ally, but we'll have to see once Azreal and Bubba push out here exactly what they're able to do.
And they've got some tanks on the map right now. Of course, it's been well documented that everybody believes that Terran's mech, especially the tanks, are extremely OP. Let's see if they're OP in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who haven't read up on it, apparently Blizzard recently released a statement talking a little bit about the upcoming patch 1.1, and some of the balance changes that were going to be involved in that patch. And of course, Dustin Browder had already mentioned previous to this statement that he wanted to be very careful about making balance changes in this game too hastily, because a lot of people were complaining right from the get-go of the game being released that Terran was too overpowered. And he basically said, hey, look, we don't want to make any balance changes with the game being this fresh in everybody's hands, because you make one small change and it can have a huge effect on balance. And if you make small changes like that too hastily, then it can very easily cause some major balance issues in other areas of the game. But basically, they are actually going to be nerfing the tanks, not a huge amount. They're going to be changing the damage type for siege mode, so basically it does the same amount of damage against armored, but there was like 15 or 25 damage that was specifically only going to be a bonus towards armored.
Yeah, that's exactly right, 15 damage.
Yeah, and it would be that much less. And here comes a battle. Lots of Zerglings going down to one Baneling there. Oh my goodness, the Baneling control is so good for Bubba, and just a huge amount of the Zerglings going down, and it looks like they're going to have no problem breaking down this front entrance here. So Reibisch and Jetto are going to be in a lot of trouble if they cannot get an answer for this soon here. And Jetto apparently does not yet have siege tech, which is what's really hurting him right now, because he cannot shell any of these Marines or Zerglings that are sitting right on their ramp, giving this tank vision to the high ground.
Yeah, where are Reibisch's units at this point? I know he has the tech for it. Does he have any on the map at this point?
It looks like he does have the Spire up, but he also went for a Baneling's Nest and just now hatching his first few mutas, although with how many Marines Azreal has in his army right now, I don't know if he's going to be able to effectively deal a significant amount of damage. And here come the Banelings into the mineral line of Reibisch, and if he was having a hard time supporting mutas off of one base before, he is definitely going to be having a hard time with it right now.
Gotta love the animation of
Absolutely. The bright green explosion of pus and blood all over the map. But here goes the last couple of Mutalisks going down. It looks like Jetto and Reibisch have managed to hold off the attack for the time being, but here comes another wave of Speedlings to help these last few Marines. And as you can see, there is once again a steady trail of units moving across the map here, trying to do some damage. And siege mode finally coming up for Jetto, but these Speedlings get in that siege tank range so quick, and they are able to take it down straight away. But luckily, Reibisch does have some friendly Zerglings nearby, help defend against that, and immediately morphing those into Banelings. But there are once again reinforcements from Bubba coming up, although there is nothing else with him, so he's going to back these couple of roaches off right now.
Yeah, and we can see that Azreal and Bubba have both expanded. Azreal expanding to that gold base right there. They're just at a huge advantage right now. Reibisch and Jetto are going to need to do something pretty significant right now to get back in this game.
Yeah, and actually Azreal has a planetary fortress at the high yield, which is going to make it very difficult to take that down with the current units that they have here, especially with the additional defense of those missile turrets that he was putting up, because of course Mutalisks can attack the planetary fortress relatively efficiently, because the planetary fortress only attacks ground, but with the help of those turrets, he's going to need a lot of Mutalisks to take out those turrets and then be able to take on the planetary fortress. But it doesn't look like he's going to get that chance, because once again, Bubba and Azreal pushing out on the map here. They're going to put pressure. Oh, and another great Baneling hit from Reibisch, but still not going to be enough, because there are 4 tanks from Azreal sieging up on this Terran Zerg base.
And it does not look like Bubba or Azreal are going to let them have any chance of expanding. I think this is probably going to be GG pretty soon. Kai, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Reibisch has just been completely taken out of this game. More than half of his miners are gone, and all of his tech is about to be taken out. Although here comes some units from Jetto. He does have one Banshee in the air right now, and there are only a handful of Marines. If he has Cloak for it, he might be able to do some damage, but no, he does not have Cloak. In that one Banshee trying to do some damage, but just letting that Marine pick away at it for some reason before he decides to run away. And only 2 hit points left. I think he's going to be, oh yeah, and he actually manages to take it down. So unfortunately for Jetto, his one option to possibly get him back into this game a little bit was taken out. And as you mentioned, 13, I think this is going to be GG, because at this point Reibisch has been completely taken out of the game. He no longer even has a hatchery, and it looks like Jetto doesn't really have any units left to defend this. So they are basically up a creek without a paddle, with no way to get them back here. So I think we are going to see GG. I'm quite honestly not sure why we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, perhaps they're just hanging on a little bit too long. I don't think that Jetto has any sort of crazy tech coming out right now. Should be a GG. I guess we'll just sit back and enjoy the carnage.
Actually, there was the GG right there. So apparently GGing, but not actually leaving the game. There we go. Finally left the game there. And it looks like this game is going to be over. So the first game going to Azreal and Bubba. As we mentioned, a very, very powerful team. Definitely expect them to do well. And they have definitely proven themselves in this first game here, winning it very decisively, putting them out to an early 1-0 lead. Thanks for watching, guys. We're going to move on to game number 2 right now. GG.
GG.